Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
From the kids to Aunt Sue. Keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig-speed internet or other popular plans, now with even more speed. Enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. I know you're going to be thrilled by this. We just had a question submitted by your best friend, Russo-Souhan. I just wanted to start the night off on the right note.
He should start coming to these podcasts.
You've missed him. He's, for all the grief he's given you, for all the photoshops, for all the fame he's gathered, he's been to one live show.
I know, it's crazy.
One. And it was in St. Paul, which is like far less convenient than this show or the other shows we were doing.
Where does he live again?
I think it's West Suburbs.
What's his address?
I will find out and we will broadcast that.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair. I mean, he stalks you. People should be able to stalk him
Exactly.
as well. He's Michael Russo.
If I knew how to Photoshop, I'd start Photoshopping him.
I don't think you're going to pick up that skill anytime soon. I really don't. He's Michael Russo. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. This is our hockey show on TalkNorth.com. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight to Tin Shed in Savage. Tin Shed in, I'm always so bad with this. TinShedMN.com is the website. Tin Shed Tavern and Pizza is the actual name of the restaurant. We do a couple of shows here a month. We appreciate everybody who shows up. It is weird to do shows here, though, and not have Vicky and Clyde here.
Yeah, I know. They're right now stuffing Kirill Kaprizov into their trunk or something.
Does he fit in the overhead storage?
I'm sure, yeah, I think he does. I've never seen him in person, but he's not the biggest guy.
What's the deal with him these days?
Just a hat trick, leading the KHL, scoring, no big deal. We'll see him one day.
When? When are we going to see him?
Hopefully next year.
And what has to happen to make that happen?
They need to sign him as of after April 30th. He needs to hopefully forego any other contract extension offers from his KHL team. And the hope is that he'll be here next year. I can't believe we're talking about Kaprizov. I thought that was a topic that we don't discuss.
Well, it is. I lured you in.
Yeah.
The show's like a minute old, and I've already gotten you talking in depth about Russo-Souhan and Kaprizov.
Yeah.
So what do you do during the summer?
Usually, it's like 10 p.m. at night. I'll get texts from my mother, like when's Fiala coming, and what's Kaprizov doing? Just like random wild questions late at night.
What I love is anytime I needle you on social media, I get a response from your mother defending you.
Yeah.
She's very sensitive.
What was the latest one? I saw that today.
God, I ripped
it was yesterday, right?
Yeah,
about
I ripped
Fran?
You for something. What was it about?
It was about Fran, the
elevator
elevator
operator. You said something nice about Fran, about how much you love Fran. I said she's not really a big fan of yours. And if Barbara's like, yes, she is. Don't pick on my son.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, given the way you treat her, that she still defends you.
That's probably a good point.
Have I made you feel awkward enough? What else can we talk about you don't want to talk about?
Nothing. I'm trying to pay attention to the Wild game. They play in Winnipeg tonight.
And why didn't you travel? Why didn't you travel to Winnipeg? I'm glad you're here, but why aren't you there?
We have 2 Winnipeg writers up there to spend $1,200 to go up there to cover
a preseason game.
Steven Falkowski or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Just didn't seem like the smart fiscal decision. I'll cover the 2 road preseason games next week in Denver and Dallas. Sandwiched, by the way, the Vail trip is in between. The Wild are going to Vail for 3 days of team bonding. They get there Sunday night after the game in Denver, then go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, have a total bonding day on Monday with some fun activities set up by the Wild, and then Tuesday and Wednesday practice there and fly to Dallas for an exhibition game. So we're going to have mass cuts here in the next couple days. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. My guess is they bring about 28 guys to Vail.
Do these team bonding exercises ever yield something tangible, or is it just you feel like everybody feels like they need to do them these days?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Wild start 13 of their 15 games on the road. In Bruce's mind, he really just wants this team to figure out a way to come together as a team. I think with a new GM, some new players, some guys that are playing their first full years with the organization, it's a good decision to have. Plus, you get some high altitude training up there. Look, only one team wins a cup every year, and I'm sure many teams do team bonding exercises. But this is what the Wild have done. I've done it before with the Florida Panthers, and it didn't exactly go well for them.
Well, one of the first things I did when I got to Minnesota is, do you remember the Pecos River story?
No.
The Minnesota Vikings, it's like the players hated the front office hated the players. There was an incredibly divisive yet successful organization. And so they decided to go to Pecos River. It was this retreat, team bonding retreat. They were might have been the first professional sports team in America to go on one of these things. Mm-hmm. So they packed the whole entire team up, go down to New Mexico, hold this bonding exercise. And that was in the summer of 1990. And by the end of 1991, Jerry Burns had bailed out. They went 6-10, then 8-8. Mike Lynn got fired, and they blew up the organization and started over. So
yeah. I don't think that'll happen this time with this team, but the thing with these trips is it's just a good way to get away. I think in training camp it gets monotonous when you're at your home every single day. It gets the guys together, especially when you're home too. They all have young families. They want to, the second the practice is over, the second they go down in the locker room, the second they get done working out, they want to get home. So this is just kind of a way of Bruce kind of getting them all together, and hopefully something good comes out of it.
Again, we are at Tin Shed in Savage. It's Tin Shed Tavern and Pizza. You can find out more information about their joint at tinshedmn.com. You see Michael Russo's beautiful face on their website. They also have a lot of deals. They have coupons on their deals page. They also describe all their deals: 2-for-1 happy hour, $5 happy hour drinks, $5 happy hour appetizers, 2-for-1 all day, every day. They have kids deals. So check out tinshedmn.com. Go to the deals tab, or you can check out their menu, their groups and the games. We're in the big kind of party room here, and they have video games and all kinds of fun stuff. It's always a good time coming out here. Also want to thank our primary sponsor, Twill, in the Dining Galleria. Scott Dayton is having an event tomorrow. They have a ton of these events. They will kind of have one of their primary clothiers come in and show off their best stuff. They'll offer some deals. It's in the Dining Gallery. It's really easy in and out, really nice people. And I highly recommend it. I just went there and bought some stuff for the fall. I'm going to go back tomorrow and buy some more stuff at the Hickey Freeman Show. TwillMN.com.
I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Dining Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Brax. A nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Twill in the Dining Galleria, TwillMN.com, Twill on Instagram.
So tell me about the Spurgeon contract.
Yeah, I mean, $53.025 million over 7 years, hefty. I think it was the last podcast or the podcast before I said that I thought his contract would go 7.5. And it did. It's 7.5, pretty much on the dot. In fact, he gets about $35,000 more than Parisian Suter, so he now has the largest cap hit in Wild history. I mean, look, they could have played a little more hardball, tried to convince him to take a little less. But the second that Trouba signed for $8 million, the Wild were screwed. That's what happens when you wait. To me, waiting never makes sense because if you wait, usually you're either going to want to get rid of the guy or you're going to have to overpay him. And they Bill Guerin paid for to me some mistakes by the old regime by just not being at all aggressive with this. I still don't understand how it's humanly possible that they, knowing from April on that they needed to get in front of this, had one conversation with them, and that was at the June draft, and then nothing in between the time at the June draft that it reported in Vancouver and the time that Paul Fenton was fired on July 29th or 30th. And so you could have probably said, look, take 6.8, take 6.9, take 7, whatever, help us maybe, keep the cap hit a little lower here, maybe even go 8 years to get the cap number down and get 90% of that salary into your pocket, even if you don't play that last year. But I don't think that Bill Guerin wanted his first move with the Wild fighting over such an important player to this team and good citizen on this team. So, and I do think that, look, as much as Jared Spurgeon says, hey, I never was thinking about free agency and I was willing, I always wanted to stay here and didn't think the grass is greener elsewhere. The reality is he was willing to walk. And that was an absolute truth is that, he was willing to go to free agency. And so they knew that. They didn't want Bill Guerin, also with his history and having a couple of contract disputes himself, he didn't want to go into the season with Jared having this on his mind. So he gets in front of it, and Jared becomes the first of the pending unrestricted free agents to resign. Now, all of a sudden, I thought it was funny. I don't know if everybody noticed, but Torrey Krug liked the tweet of my story, and I bet I know why, because that sets a new market price for him. Pietrangelo, Yossi, Brody, Barry. There's just a lot of group threes. I think we're very happy with that Jared Spurgeon contract.
So Jared I'm looking up his age now. He is 29 years old. Is he absolutely at his peak? Is he a finished product, or is there a way either he could improve or the team could use him better? Is there any more upside left here?
Well, I think the team could use him better, but I do think that he has a lot more upside still left in him. The thing is that now he's going to be back on a second power play. Now he's going to be back in the second unit. So I think points-wise, if people think that he's going to suddenly become Drew Doughty or Brent Burns, or Matt Dumba even, it's just not going to happen. He's going to settle into his role, get back into his shutdown role with Jonas Brodin, and is a real good insurance policy if all of a sudden Bruce doesn't like the way that Dumba and Suter look or Dumba gets hurt again. But I still think that he is not somebody that's going to get old quickly. He is turning 30 this year. That's a little dangerous, obviously, when you give 7-year deals to somebody that next year when his contract starts, he's going to be 30, turning 31. But I just don't see that somebody like this is going to suddenly fall off the map or become a Danny Heatley or somebody like that maybe or Thomas Vanek, where skating becomes a bit of an issue later in a career. That usually happens to bigger guys. Jared just doesn't look to me like somebody that's just going to all of a sudden become old quick.
And what allows him to survive and to play well at his size?
Well, he's brilliant, first of all. He's just a smart hockey player. It is uncanny the amount of times he goes into the corner and comes away the puck. And it's all body position. It's all history of always being a small guy and having to adjust to always, in every single level, play against bigger guys. And I just think it's smarts. I remember when the Wild gave him, I think it was a 3-year deal at $275. It would have been probably 6 years ago or 7 years ago at this point. I remember talking to Chuck Fletcher on the phone. I'm like, what are you doing? I said that to him, and he goes, what? And I'm like, what are you giving Jared Spurgeon $275 for? And he goes, Mike, I'm telling you, this guy is going to be a great player. He goes, by the end of this contract, he is going to hit a home run. And he did. By the end of that contract, 4-year deal at 5.187. By the end of this guy's career here, he's probably going to play more games in a Wild uniform than Mikko Koivu. It's pretty unbelievable.
Man, how's Mikko doing?
Mikko right now looks really good in these scrimmages. He doesn't show any signs of the injury last year. What's really interesting, and we'll see it in tonight's game, this will obviously be outdated when this comes out, but we'll see how Eriksson Ek does on a line with Cunnin and Greenway, because Eriksson Ek wants that spot. And if he gets that spot, well, then Mikko very well could start the season as a fourth-line center, which will be interesting. And that's been a lot of Mikko Koivu's critics have wanted that for the last couple of years. So he'll have to be mature about it if that's the case. But we'll see. But right now, he doesn't look like he's got any real concern about his knee. He says that it's still sort of in the back of his mind, but when you watch him go and skate in the corner in high traffic areas, he doesn't seem to me to be like Luke Cunnin last year. I remember when he first got up after going his stint in Iowa, you could still see it was sort of in his head. And right now, it seems like Mikko's kind of going to overcome this, at least from the mental standpoint.
We will take live questions anytime you want to come up. Just come up to the mic. Brandon will hand you the mic, and we'll get you in. We want to keep this loose and fun. Feel free to come up at any point of the show. We'll also do Twitter questions later. Is this team a better team? Is there a benefit to having Mikko on the fourth line, or would that just be kind of the last of his of the goodwill left in his reservoir?
Is there benefit to having him on the fourth line? I don't think so. It obviously makes you deeper, but look, they're still going to, even if he started on the fourth line, there are going to be times where Bruce is going to move him up. When they need a big draw late in a game on a power play, I could probably guarantee that Mikko is taking it over Eriksson Ek or Donato. That's just the way it is, and that's the way it should be. The guy's one of the best face-off players in the league in the last 15 years. So there are going to be times where they're going to need him. On the number one penalty kill now that Eric Fair is gone, it's going to be Mikko and Marcus Foligno. So there are going to be little things that Bruce is going to do. The thing that I'm interested in is the second power play, because at this point in his career, is Mikko better on the second power play than some of the younger guys that the team has, whether it's Cunnin or Greenway or Fiala or Donato or whatever the Wild decide in those situations? Probably not. So I think out of respect, Bruce will probably start Mikko on the power play, but there might be times where he's going to take Mikko completely off the power play. Or, as I wrote the other day, what I would do is maybe if you're starting the second unit in an offensive zone draw, you throw Mikko out there. But if all of a sudden you're starting the number one unit and you're changing on the fly, then maybe that's the occasion where you say, Mikko, you're not playing on this power play. But for the draw perspective, you should always use Mikko as your number one option on this team.
Bert, how you doing?
I'm good. So
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks. I just wanted to say it was sweet of you guys to miss me last week.
Yeah, we missed you. You could tell how much we missed you.
That meant a lot.
Yes.
I was just really dismayed.
Yeah, I could hear your voice cracking, so just let it go. So, and then Jim, I got a bone to pick with you. 16-ounce curls, really? Have you seen the beer at my table? 16 ounce.
Oh, I give you credit. What's that? That's like more like 20, 24?
24, yeah.
Wow. Well, of course, it was the working out that enabled you to build up to this.
That's true. I had to work off all the liquor from Europe. So
but we're proud of you. That's the bottom line here.
Thanks.
We're proud of you.
So here, my question is: now that Spurgeon's out of the way, have Guerin and Kerbers have they come up with some kind of talked about some kind of plan with the goalie situation? Because they'll probably have to figure something out by next year with Dubnyk having 1 year left.
Well, he has 2 years left.
Well,
so.
after next year, though.
Yeah. I asked Guerin during my sit down a couple of weeks ago, but that was he was literally a day on the job, and he obviously said that it's something that he's going to have to come up with a succession plan, but it might be Dubnyk. Maybe Dubnyk has a great year and doesn't give them any sense of concern, but a lot will be up to. This is not something they got to figure out right away. A lot will be up tonight in Winnipeg. Both Kokkonen and Matt Robson are going to play. Capo is going to get 2 periods. Matt's going to get 1. Then they're going to go to Iowa and they're going to play in front of a young team, behind a young team, and they're going to have to figure out right now if those two potentially are if either of them is the so-called God, I hate the term, but goalies of the future. And if all of a sudden Guerin and Curvers and Bombardier and Tim Army and those people think that they're not somebody that in the next 2 years is somebody that can step into an NHL role, whether it be a backup or starter, you're going to have to start looking at ways to acquire a goalie via trade or free agency. But right now, they have plenty of time to figure that out, and a lot will be up to the way that guys like Kakkonen look, the way that Hunter Jones looks in juniors this year, Barabo, and obviously Matt Robson.
Because I'm looking at what the Capitals did. I mean, with Holtby being a free agent after this year and probably not coming back because they're over the cap now.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a kid named Samsonov in Hershey that they played last year, so they're going to play him this year in some backup roles to see how he does and get him used to it.
No, and we even saw Colorado got in front of it with Varlamov going out and adding, Grubauer, but there's no doubt that the Wild, because Stalock isn't your future number one here by any stretch, that they're going to have to figure this out in the next couple of years. There's no doubt.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Bert. Appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, Brian from Tin Shed is giving away Wild tickets. Come on up here. Just fill out the form, drop it in the, as Bert just did, drop it in the fishbowl, and we'll let you know when we draw winners. I think it'll be pretty soon here. By the way, we're planning on our next live show being October 1st. That should be a Tuesday night. Let me double check that. October 1st here at 7 o'clock. So luckily, with the way the Twins are playing, I won't be leaving to go cover that playoff series until later in the week. So we're planning on October 1st, 7 o'clock here. And come on out and join us. We do appreciate everybody who comes out. Ken, fire away.
Well, so first, Jets scored 2 goals in the first 100 seconds today.
Oh, great.
So maybe that...
So Kakkonen is not the goalie.
That doesn't sound good for Kakkonen. So a few questions. One, the fact that Rask flunked Bruce's skating test, does that indicate a lack of fitness, or is he just slow as we thought last year?
Yeah.
That's question one. Number two, I mean, obviously it's early in the camp, but are there some players that really stood out to you so far, and who's disappointed you? And lastly, I know you've gotten this question 1,000 times. What are the chances that Guerin decides to keep Bruce after this year?
Okay, you might have to remind me on some of these. And by the way, on this, I do find it funny that the goals in Winnipeg are Kopp and Blake Wheeler, so the veterans don't always struggle to come out of the gate in preseason games. Just on the Minnesota Wild, they do. Yesterday was, by the way,
negative.
I think that I took a professional approach today because in my gamer I had a line that said that they were in midseason form. They outchanced an inferior opponent 3-1 and then still lost in overtime. But I thought that was too cynical for preseason game one, so I cut it out.
Oh man!
So I thought that was a very mature. I made a step in my.
He's
maturity.
growing up right before our eyes.
And Ken, as I predicted, I forgot every one of your questions. So what were they? First one was Rask.
Thank you.
I will just correct one thing that we kind of always keep on saying they failed the skating test. The way it works is that it's sort of like nobody fails. What it is that it used to be Bruce when he first started this, and I got it I think from Hockey Canada. You do the skating. You have to do it. There's 38 seconds, like 39, 40, and there were 5 legs. Well, what he did is he changed it to years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, to essentially if you make your times 3 times, you don't have to do the 4th. And if you fail that, if you're too far over your 3rd leg and you have to do the 4th, if you skate that in the length of that leg, then you don't have to do the 5th. But if you miss that, then you have to do the 5th. And then obviously if you miss the 5th, you're not doing the 6th. So it's hard to say that anybody fails. It's sort of like instead you're getting rewarded for getting in the time the first 3 times to not have to do leg 4 and 5. And Rask and Brown were not the only 2. Donato missed it by honestly missed leg 3 by like 0.0001. It was crazy. Then there were guys like Matt Register, Ryan Hartman, who's a great skater. They missed it. Now Rask, to me, looks like he's in good shape. Like when I look at him, he looks fit as a fiddle. When I look at Ryan Donato, he is in superb shape. Just for some reason, skating is not their forte in this type of thing. These tests, it's not about speed. I've seen the slowest guys past this with flying colors. It's about endurance, and that was the thing that pissed off Bruce the most. Is that particularly, like, it didn't bother him so much like a guy like Donato, but when Rask and Brown, who are two guys that are on the bubble to make the team, showed up and didn't come close, it really bothered him. But yet, you look at JT Brown and the guy's in perfect shape. So it's just, there are just certain things. JT surprised me because he's usually a great skater. So it was a weird one. But the Rask thing, I think even more so, is he hasn't been happy with his play overall. Like in the scrimmages, he doesn't look good. I mean, that Jerry Mayhew overtime winner the other day, honestly, it was like nothing changed with Rask from last year. He just got caught in cement, and Mayhew just flew by him, circled the net. Brown didn't pick him off, and he turns around and whips it for the overtime winner in the scrimmage. So, it's definitely disappointing, and those are the things that absolutely stick in Bruce's mind, sticks in Guerin's mind, a lot more than it would for another player. When you're a bubble player and you come and you're not playing well right from the beginning, or you show that maybe you didn't practice the test over the summer. I mean, all these guys knew it was coming. I tweeted a picture at Braemar last week or 2 weeks ago now. I mean, training camp flies by sometimes, of guys like Parisi and Sealer and all these guys practicing the test. They all, it's like those guys didn't practice it. So I'll be interested to see how Fiala does if he gets here Friday or Saturday. So what was your other questions?
Well, one is, what do you think the chances are that he keeps Bruce after this year?
I mean, a lot will depend on this season. I mean, I can tell you just by watching, they're getting along. They're laughing every time I look up at them. They seem to have a much more cooperative relationship than when it was Fenton and Bruce. And so I think Bruce is in the know now and giving his opinion to things now. And so far so good, but obviously a lot will depend on this year. If they don't make the playoffs or don't come close to making the playoffs, I don't care if Bill Guerin's saying the right things by saying Bruce is my guy. All GMs have in the back of their mind a list of people that they want to be the coach, and usually that eventually happens. So.
By the way, as to mid-season form, we sure showed it on the 3-on-3. But
yeah.
The last question was, so what players have impressed you so far early on in the camp, and what ones have disappointed you?
I mean, I know that it sounds like I'm like campaigning for Jerry Mayhew, but I genuinely, I a lot of times will, when there's minor leaguers that everybody's like, why don't they give him a shot? I kind of roll my eyes and I'm just like, look, trust me, it's not going to translate. I'm telling you, I think that you could put Jerry Mayhew in a top 6 role on this team and he'll get you 20 goals. Like, he is that good. And I just hope that they do the right thing here and just say, JT, you're gone, or even Victor, you're gone. To me, Jerry's proved everything that he can in Iowa. The problem is that he doesn't require waivers, and all these other guys do. And so right away, it's gonna probably hurt him. I mean, that's just the reality of situations in picking a team. Is sometimes your contract status determines, at least initially, who makes the team or not. But I'm telling you, Mayhew is a player. He's a guy that you could put on your fourth line. He's not going to hurt you because he's energetic. He skates awesome. But he's also the type of guy that you put him on that fourth line, especially with somebody like if Mikko was there or Joel Eriksson-Ek, he's going to get you goals easily. I mean, you could put him on the power play on the Wild, and I guarantee he's going to score. So I'm a Mayhew guy. And the other one that just to me looks awesome is Zuccarello in these scrimmages and practices. But we'll see. I mean, the one thing that's disconcerting is, again, last night he's setting up guys left and right, and they still can't score. So I don't like this fallacy that last year they didn't score because they didn't have this playmaker. I mean, Granlund was on the team 3/4 of the year. These guys do not finish. It's that simple. He set him up he should have had 3 or 4 assists last night, and they don't finish. And so, again, it's one preseason game, but that's got to change, man. And he's a heck of a player. We'll just see. I mean, we'll see what his contract looks like in 2, 3, 4 years. But right now it looks good. It's funny. I talked to Henrik Lundqvist about him today. By the way, just on a total aside, that's why I covered the NHL. Like, a future Hall of Famer on a game day calls me at 3 p.m. about about Zuccarello. I mean, like, you know, that's why you cover the NHL and not any other sport. Sorry, Jim. But I talked to Lundqvist today, and he's like, you will not believe how better he makes other players in practice because they have to keep up with him. Because it's a lot like Mikko. I mean, there are certain guys that don't go through the motions in practice, and Zuccarello, you could tell already, is one of them. Just works his butt off in practice. And this is a guy, I mean, he was discovered during the 2010 Olympics. I mean, he was, you know, I mean, I cannot wait to write the story on him, probably for opening night. Because already the stuff I've gathered on the guy is fascinating. And I haven't even sat down with him yet. So it's just, that's the cool part of The Athletic is that, like, you know, you could hit him early and just kind of, hey, he's here. But you have time to write, you know, really substantive story and not feel pressured. All right, we got to get it in this day because this, you know, the Vikings have a game here. The Twins are going to be in the playoffs. Like, from my perspective, I don't have to worry about the Twins being in the playoff on the day opening night is because that doesn't, you know, on an online situation, it doesn't drop my story down. So I can't wait to write that story. Hopefully it's good. So.
Disappointments? I assume Rask was one, but any other?
Oh, disappointments? Let me just think real quick.
By the way, Brandon, do I get workman's comp if when he's talking and his hands start flying around, he smacks me in the face?
Really, so far, yeah, it's kind of a tough question for me to answer because I will admit that a lot of times during these practices and scrimmages, I'm writing. Like I use practice time. It's like almost like babysitting. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't see the JT Brown-Belpedio fight the other day because I was writing my Koivu story in the press room. So it's hard for me to say, other than what Bruce has kind of reported that he hasn't liked the fourth line. I will say that Bruce has a tendency to be negative. He has been extremely happy with the effort in these scrimmages, the competitiveness in these scrimmages by pretty much everybody. But right now, I haven't really seen anybody that's just jumped out at me and said that guy has been terrible. So that's good.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. So we do really intense show prep here. You told me to ask you about electronics in Vegas, so I'm going to ask you about electronics in Vegas. But first, let's thank John Hedges and Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. They are now in downtown St. Paul, in the Skyway, walking distance from the XL Energy Center or the Wild offices. They're in downtown Minneapolis in the Skyway. I go by there all the time. They're in Toledo, Ohio, if anybody gets to Toledo. They're also, and the big mothership is in the Mall of America, third floor by Nordstrom's.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All three shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on-site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
All right, what are you laughing about?
It's 3-0 Winnipeg right now.
Whew.
Yeah.
You made the right choice, not going to Winnipeg. So electronics
I should text Dan Myers and say, hey, make sure you ask Bruce about resiliency afterwards. To people around like a couple of years ago, Bruce, the Wild were like down 5-0 and lost the game 5-4 in Winnipeg. Or it was something like that. And Dan Myers, Gorg asked like a softball to start.
Hold it. Gorg asked a softball?
And then Dan Myers like, you have to be happy with the resiliency of your team. And Bruce just flipped. He goes, you're acting like we're good. And then he just stormed off.
I love it.
It was so funny.
That's my favorite thing. Because, listen, I like Gorg. He's a great dude. I like Dan Myers. But what we have in modern media and covering sports is you have people who work for the team who are standing there with the media asking questions. You have people who work for rights holders who are tied in with the team. Their team partners are asking questions. And they're just trying to get through the interview without ticking anybody off. So they're asking the softest possible questions.
Yeah, but I don't want to act like I'm ripping on them. It was just a funny thing.
No, but my point is that sometimes the coach or the player you're talking to doesn't want the soft questions. Sometimes they actually want somebody to get you going.
In that situation, Bruce I was not at that game. I can't remember why. but I remember watching it afterwards.
Trampled by
And
Turtles
that was
concert.
one of those ones where Bruce was like, you almost see like, where's Russo? Like, just ask me a question
I
and
know.
just trash somebody. Like, Bruce, sometimes he loves my leading questions to just rip on a player. Like, hey, what, Rask on that play.
Well, we've talked about this before. We've both had coaches, managers, general managers, whatever, pull us aside during our careers and say, will you please rip this guy
Yeah,
for me?
yeah.
Get his butt moving.
Yeah, no
And it's
doubt.
not, the whole the media's negative thing. Tell you what, you know one who's negative? People who are going to get fired if the players don't play well. Those are the guys who are negative
Yeah.
about these people.
Yeah.
So what's the Electronics in Vegas?
No doubt about it.
Story.
I will say this: Dan Myers does a really good job.
He does. I like Dan. I
and
like
nobody
Kevin
could write
too.
a good story faster than that guy. I think in this town, like it's crazy sometimes how fast he'll write a story. Kent Youngblood writes fast.
He does.
So, what was I going to say? So, the electronics story.
Yes. I kind of like it when you're flustered and you can't think of what you want to say,
Yeah.
so I just let you hang there for a while.
This is an unfreaking believable story, okay, of how just stupid I am. Okay? So I'm at the Planet Hollywood
I'm all
a couple
ears.
weeks ago, and I'm already, I've already dropped a good amount of money for this watch, and I wanted to watch like Ray Donovan or something on the TV. I mean, something stupid, okay? I didn't, and it was like one of those things where it's like, well, I've just spent a lot of money on a watch. I really would like to avoid the casino, so I'd like to watch something. And I had this gigantic suite, so I turn on the TV thinking it's a smart TV, and it's not. So I want to watch Ray Donovan off my computer. So I'm like, well, I left my HDMI cord at home. So I'm going to go down to one of those stupid like huts in the mall at the Planet Hollywood and buy an HDMI cord. So I have a laptop that's got one of those lightning like jacks, like doesn't have like an actual like place to put the USB. So I go down and I ask this girl, I'm like, hey, will this work? Is this compatible? It had the lightning bolt on it. Is this compatible with my laptop to go in the TV? She's like, oh yeah, no problem, blah, 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 blah. So she's ringing it up. And I have one at home that I'm not kidding. I bought on Amazon for like $10. And she like, all of a sudden she's ringing it up. This is unbelievable. And it comes up $86. And I'm like, what? And I almost said no, but then I'm like, in my mind, I decide, well, I'm going to buy it and I'll just return it at the end of the trip. So, but then I go upstairs and the thing doesn't work. So I go down to the hut and she's not working anymore. And I go to the manager. I'm like, hey, the girl said this was going to work. It's not working. Can I return it? And he goes to me like, we don't do returns. And he basically is like, go try it again. Try it out yourself. I forget what exactly. So I go up, I try it again. It doesn't work. So I go back the next day. I don't feel like going that night. I go back the next day and try to return it. And she's there. And they will not refund my money. So I'm getting a little heated. But what they're going to do is they're going to let me exchange it for anything there. So I decide that I want a pair of like wireless headphones for my laptop because my AirPods on an airplane just don't, these engines on these freaking MD-90s are so loud, so you can't transcribe anything. So I decided that I'm going to get these headphones. So then they're ringing up the headphones, and I'm like, all right, you only have to pay like $90 more for the headphones. And I'm like, okay. And then she sells me on this stupid battery pack for my phone. So anyway, I returned the stupid HDMI cord, and I walked away giving them $200 more for these, honestly, these two devices that might be the cheapest things I've ever. I mean, the headphones have already broken. Let's put it that way. Like, you can't even make it. So I basically spent $280 for an HDMI card that didn't work. So that's my electronic story.
Now I feel better about you spending a ridiculous amount of money on watches. At least you have a watch.
When we turn the podcast off, we'll leave out. I'll explain the middle of the story too that I don't want to say publicly.
We will look forward to
on
that.
why I spent the $280. But anyway, it was just bad. It was
He spent
stupid.
$280 in Vegas.
Yeah, it was just dumb. Scott,
before
coming
we
up
get
to
your
save
question,
me.
I do want to thank Tony Hoagland. Tony's been sponsoring the program and the network for a long time. He is now, for anybody who calls up and mentions this show, he will donate to the Jason Zucker's Give 16 charity and National State Farm will match it. No obligation to purchase. They're not hard sellers. I've dealt with them. As I always say, Tony handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. So thanks to Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new program called Quotes for Good. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. For the Russo-Souhan show, I'll be donating $16 to the Jason and Carly Zucker Give 16 campaign that benefits the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at championinsurance.com.
Yes, sir, Scott.
Captain
First,
Scott to you.
First, I got to call
Captain
you out.
Scott.
Because we all know that engines on an MD-88 are in the back, and you're in the front.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
It's probably the 737s. So some of those things are loud.
So, Jim, I was going to give you trouble because
Yes.
this goes back a little while now, but I saw one of your tweets. You brought up the Sano stuff back in the day about him being overweight and all that stuff.
Because it was true.
And then, out of his work, people were saying, well, wait a minute, because you're saying how good he is. But
Which is true.
in your defense, I heard you talk about
I got to say, this will hit a nerve. The idea that you can only have one position. You have to say, okay, this guy is 22 years old. I'm going to have this opinion on him, and I'm going to stick with that opinion no matter what happens. He was out of shape. He was overweight. He couldn't rehab. He wasn't performing. And 3 Twins people told me, we're worried about this guy's career. So I wrote that. And then he turns it around and gets in better shape and plays better. I should just say he's still fat because he's gotten in better shape and now he's performing.
And I heard you talk about it on the Smalley podcast,
Right.
so I hear you, and you're absolutely right. But it leads, and your reaction leads right into my question. You know, as 2 journalists who came up with a completely different idea of what journalism was going to be, and now with this Twitter universe, and I've seen you both get a little spun up, and sitting on the outside, you kind of chuckle about it because, you know, some of these guys get me a little spun up, and I got nothing to do with it. But Michael has talked about how he doesn't have to wait in the weeds anymore to get his stories because people will send him the information with pictures and all that.
It's true.
But talk about the Twitter world now and how that has changed either what you've been doing or your expectations as you came along.
You want me to start?
Sure.
Well, I mean, listen.
By the way, are you a Family Guy guy? You don't watch Family Guy? You got to watch Quagmire as an airline pilot. It's a very good one. As you were talking there, I just so Scott's a pilot on Delta. And as you're talking, I'm like picturing when you're in the back of the plane, you're like, this is from the cockpit where 25 cruising to 35, whatever. I was just kind of like heard you saying it.
So, Scott, you're a pilot on Delta. So when you and Russo are on the same plane, who sits farther in front?
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, that's too bad. Because I bet he sits in front of you. I bet he gets the upgrade.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that, it's easy to complain about social media and Twitter, and there are things about social media in general I think are terrible for, humans and for our country and everything else. But it also has a lot of advantages. Listen, one of the things that has really benefited The Athletic is they hired a lot of people with huge social media accounts, and they can get their word out that without having to pay NBC to run ads. They can get their own information out. There are a lot of great things. It leads to some really good interactions. It's an easy way to follow. I mean, Michael and I have friends in the business all over the country. We follow them. We know what they're writing. Whereas before you'd have to go to the morgue at the newspaper and go look up, something from 3 weeks ago to find out what your buddy wrote. So there are a lot of advantages. It can be great. The difficult part about it is it's hard to turn off. You're following your friends. You want to know who won the game. You want to know who said what after the game in San Francisco, whatever. So you're always checking it, and you can't separate, the guy who just wants to yell at you from all the good informational parts of Twitter. So it's weird. It's just always, and like when we grew up, your focus was on having the best possible story in the morning paper. So you worked all day, And sometimes you find out something nobody else knew at 10 o'clock in the morning. You almost play defense. I got to protect this source. I got to protect this information because I want to have it alone in the morning. And now it's like you got to have it out there right away. So it's changed everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's good, but it also means that people who don't have your best interest at heart have access to you 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, from the job perspective, I think it's mostly good. But look, you have to have a thick skin. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you just...
And that's the thing. Is I have a thick skin sometimes, but I don't have a thick skin 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Some days I'm like, turn on the phone, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know?
I've gotten better of actually not, and I feel bad saying this because people tweet me all the time, but I try not to look early in the morning. Because, I wake up.
I try not
I'm
to
not
look late at night
caffeinated.
because I don't want to ruin my sleep.
I'm not caffeinated.
Yeah.
Look at Twitter and I see somebody ripping on me and you just react. But you've got to try to remember that, that one, you shouldn't respond. But two, that not one person makes the several followers that I have, and that most are respectful. But it is, for me, it's been a total benefit. One, just, during a game. I mean, there are times you're writing. Like last night, I was totally uninterested in the game. So I realized quite early in that game when Hartman scored that goal that I wanted to do a Hartman story. I hadn't even really talked to him in camp yet. So I really started doing a lot of investigation about him during the game, found that stuff about his parents and the bar that he owned, and I just thought it was a really cool story. So I'm just kind of like working on, trying to like, all right, in my head, I'm like, all right, when am I going to call his, I knew that they were probably busy during the game, so I'm like, I'll work the locker room and then I'll call the bar and hope that one of his parents pick up. And so I'm doing all this and I'm not paying attention to the game. And then all of a sudden I look at Twitter and I see about 15 things that I missed. And that happens a good amount, especially when I was a deadline writer at the Star Tribune. Third period, that's when you're really writing. There are times all of a sudden somebody will be like, "Hey, where's Koivu?" And you're like, "I didn't even know Koivu wasn't playing." So that's where it works out well. And then, as I mentioned, as I think you just mentioned, is that it's really valuable in terms of I'll be honest. I mean, that's how I got the Charlie Coyle scoop. Somebody randomly sent me a direct message and just said, "Hey, I think Charlie Coyle's bag was just taken off the equipment truck." That's how it all started. And same thing, picture of Bruce Boudreau and Craig Leopold eating dinner. I mean, that means nothing. It's good intel for me to know. And so that stuff, it's really helped. And then, I mean, it sounds awful, but the building of the brand, that's why a lot of old school players don't like it, because it's a lot of me guys. I mean, Dustin Byfuglien's one of those guys. He hates social media, hates the way the young kids use it to sell themselves, and things like that. And but from my perspective, it's really helped sort of the brand. I remember years ago, I think she's still in the marketplace, Fiona Quick. She's the one that, like, right away, like when Twitter was invented, she's like, "You need to get on this." And I'm like, "What is Twitter? Why would I ever use this? Why would I want to give my information right away?" And then all of a sudden, it's like I'm on Twitter, and it's become the way of life, which at times can become exhausting. There is never a time that you could sort of unplug. You just look at Twitter and somebody asks you a question, now you're thinking about the Wild again, which is why, Mother, I get tired of the 10 p.m. texts about the Wild. Anyway.
So good question. Yeah. I appreciate it. Hey, I want to tell you about a couple of ways to get good food. One is you can come to Tin Shed, tinshedmn.com. Go on the website, and it's 12250 Zinran Avenue. Number is 952-736-2444, but of course we're all web-based these days. Just go there and you can Google it. And they do have carry-out and delivery services. You can order online and get the food that way. If you don't live near Tin Shed, we do recommend using Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. Use the Bite Squad app. Upload your information. It just makes everything very easy. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery fee waived, and just keep using Bite Squad after that, because they make life really easy. So thanks to both of those companies for supporting the show. Reminder, October 1st, 7 o'clock, the next live show at Tin Shed in Savage, tinshedmn.com. Yes, sir.
Just question on Donato. I think last week we talked a little bit about.
I was just on looking at his Instagram.
Knowing a little bit about, he was going to move him to center and give him a shot there.
Mm-hmm.
What are your first impressions of last night?
Work in progress. I thought there were times early in the game that he looked a little bit out of place, but then he won a couple battles in the corner. They had one good shift in the first period. That was it. That line. One good shift with about 5 minutes left, and then it actually triggered about 3 or 4 good shifts in a row. And then I thought he got much better as the game went along. He won some draws. I think he wound up above 50% on draws in the game. It's a work in progress. I mean, he grew up playing center, but he hasn't played it really as a professional, and so he's getting into that spot. And it's a bit of a quandary for Bruce Boudreau, because it's right now the way Eriksson Ek's playing in camp, he probably should be in that spot. But then now all of a sudden, if you do that, you're putting Donato on the fourth line, most likely. And so I don't think that he wants to take a guy that's not the greatest defensively and not the most physical and throw him in that fourth line role. We'll see how this continues. It's just an interesting experiment right now. I get why Bruce is doing it. It really does actually fix some things by putting Kunin at right wing. But we'll see if this stuff continues.
Good question. Thank you. Let's buzz through some Twitter questions. Oh, actually, you're here. You get to ask.
So if Koivu ends up on the fourth line this year, are we still going to see him get paired up against teams' top lines like he was before the injury? Because it didn't matter who it was, whatever line he was on. Sidney Crosby is out there. Who cares? It's Mikko Koivu. He goes and you hear all these interviews with these people, and he's just a pain to play against.
Well, as Tony back there has written for us, I mean, you look at his numbers against top lines and what he does to stifle these opposing teams and their abilities to take shots. It's hard to just stop that. And that's why I just still have trouble believing that Bruce is just going to pull the plug and not use them in big situations. What you ask is a great question. I mean, we're going to have to see how this goes early in the year. I mean, the Wild have 13 of their, I know I keep on sounding like a broken record, 13 of their first 18 on the road, the first 3 against big division opponents. You're telling me that Mikko is just not going to play a big role in those games? I've said it for as many years. I mean, the problem with the Wild is that they still don't have that center that on the road you can match up against another team's stud center. And I still think that Mikko's going to have to play a big part of that. So we'll see. A lot's going to be up to his body and how he looks in these games. But I think Mikko's still going to be a significant player on this team, whether he starts in that fourth line or not. So.
And then real quick follow-up too here.
Yeah.
So early in camp, there's been one game so far, but is there a player that you think will make the team that shouldn't? And is there a player that you think should make the team that is probably not going
to? Well, I think that Mayhew should be on the team, and I think that Brown and Rask I think Brown's probably gone. It's just an easy boot off the team, no biggie. I think Rask is here. 3 years of $4 million left. I mean, I suppose what does it matter if you're paying him $4 million here or $4 million in Iowa? But that's still hard to do. But man, it's just unbelievable. There's not a GM in this league that would have made that trade. Not one in this league. Let me promise you. It was just such a ridiculous trade, and from the moment it was done, you knew it. It was just this guy. Who usually doesn't do well in those skate tests as bad as he did the other day? Minor leaguers, the Pat Cannonis, the Victor Bartleys, those guys. He's just I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll fool us and he'll a couple injuries and he'll get in a position where he could succeed on this team. But man, I mean, it's just amazing that he earned that contract in Carolina and that they actually found somebody that was willing to take it. So we'll see. I can promise you Billy Guerin's trying to pull a miracle out of the hat and trade him. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I do know that he's talked to other teams about him. So
good question. Let's buzz through some Twitter questions from our friend Mary. She asked a bunch of stuff that you've already answered, but she asked, why does the NHL charge full price for preseason games?
Well,
It's an obvious answer. I just thought I'd throw it out in front of you.
Yeah. I mean,
and by the way, Cheryl,
I'm not saying your question's wrong, Mary,
no,
but we know why.
We know why. These people pay it.
It's just a revenue.
It's a revenue stream, absolutely. By the way, I also want to congratulate a member of this network, Cheryl Reeve from the Lynx, is named the WNBA Executive of the Year. It's been a blast to work with her. She's fantastic and does a great podcast as well as being great at her job. Let's see. So, from Minnesota sports fan living in Texas, do you think Pavelski didn't sign in Minnesota because Fenton was the GM and he had heard horror stories?
No, I just think on a 2-year deal, he just thought Dallas has a much better chance of winning a cup in those 2 years. Or 3 years. I can't even remember what he got. 3 or 2?
Let me see.
3. And so I think that's the reason. And I will say,
3 year.
What's that?
3 year.
Yeah. And I will say that I think that it was just one of those things where he looked at the organization and, there's the perception out there that Billy's trying to end, that there are locker room issues and things like that. And I think that he just decided at the end of the day that Tampa and Dallas were two teams that he was more intrigued by, and he chose Dallas over Tampa.
Yes, sir.
Look at that shirt. Wow.
How
You like that?
Yeah. Marion Gabrick and Cliff Ronning on a T-shirt here. Old school.
So, just like your thoughts on Drew Stafford, the possibility of him making the team.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely hurt Jerry Mayhew's chances. I like Stafford a lot as a person, but 2 as a player. I still think that he could play. I still think he could play. To me, like last night, I forget who number 5 is on Dallas, but he walked him at the blue line and skates in and set up Spurgeon for what easily could have been the go-ahead goal. So he still's got game. He's big. He's physical. I thought he skated well last night. I think he deserves to make the team over Raskin Brown too. I still would rather Mayhew on the team just because to me he should, he's young and he's offensive and I think he deserves a shot and I don't know what more he could prove in Iowa. The other thing with Stafford is he's going to have to decide if they offer him a contract whether or not he's going to take a 2-way deal. I think that would be the only way that he'd get a job on this team is to accept a 2-way. And then the other thing that is a problem that, again, I don't know why the Wild signed Cody McLeod, but they put themselves at the veteran max. You could play 6 veterans, what are deemed veterans in the AHL, and Cody made the 6th guy. So now if all of a sudden Brown is down there, or if all of a sudden Rask is down there, or if Stafford is down there, Tim Army, if everybody's healthy, is going to have to have essentially a rotation of every night sitting a good player. But I talked to Tim Army about this yesterday, and he said that he spelled this out to Cody when he signed him. That look, you can come on an AHL deal, but you might not be able to play ever. Or you might, I'm going to have to play our guys over maybe you, and so. But that really could affect whether or not you put like if Drew Stafford knows that he could potentially wind up in Iowa and not play or be scratched, is he going to do that? So.
Well, and I just see him as an option on the power play, right-handed shot as well.
Yeah, but who's he going to play over? If they're healthy, you're going to have a first unit of let's just say it's Zuccarello, Stahl, and Parisi up front with Dumba and Suter. I mean, you now have a second unit of you have Zucker, you have Fiala, and you have Donato, 3 skilled guys. We're not even talking about Cunnin and Greenway. And you want Spurgeon back at the point. So can one of those forwards maybe play the point? We've seen Zucker do it. He's not good at it. I can't imagine Donato. That's where you want him. And has Fiala ever done it? I don't know. So now, but if you go with a 4-forward second unit, still is that Stafford? I don't know. I doubt it. I think if you're going to go in that situation with a righty, I'd rather Cunnin there. So he's probably, if this team's healthy and he's willing to sign and makes the team, he's probably going to be a 13th forward that comes in and plays the 4th line every now and then. So.
Thank you. Your questions, thank you. From Danny Wheelock on Twitter, is Dubnyk the starting goalie, and will we see any goalies other than Dubnyk and Stalock?
I mean, no, Dubnyk's the starting goalie.
Just thought I'd, yep. Let's see, from Nate C. Nope, we're not going to ask that one. From John Sonderby, what are your thoughts on Fenton? He's kidding. From Patrick Gage, who will hold their value better through the end of their contract, Spurgeon or Suter?
I think that Spurgeon probably is going to age better. I mean, Suter's just, he's probably at some point here going to slow down, although he plays a pretty mechanical game. But my guess is Spurge.
Let's see, Paul Fentod. There are a lot of weird. We have to blame Russo Slacks. There are a lot of really weird people following us on Twitter right now. Slacks asked the questions about Kaprizov. You can groan. Okay, from Kevin Luckow. I saw Kevin at the Saints thing the other day. Do you see Guerin addressing the chemistry issues of the past between the vets and the young guys, or is it up to the players?
Well, it's definitely up to the players, but Guerin has gone in there and made it extremely clear that it needs to be a team-first atmosphere and that the best teams in the league, it put the individual stuff aside and bond as a team and play as a team and all that stuff.
From JMT, with Koivu being the current captain, who's the next captain? Dumba, Kunin, who?
I mean, I would pick Spurgeon.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. From Luke Reachins, is it accurate to say that Dubnyk is the biggest X factor for the Wild this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's several X factors. I mean, to me, 2 or 3 of their young guys have to become really productive players this year between Fiala, Donato, Kunin, Greenway, and Eck. But absolutely, it's funny. I mean, you look at Dubnyk's numbers, and it just seems like he always has one bad month. Every year, one bad month. Last year, it was in the middle of November. I think Tony wrote about that for us too. Everything was going great, and Tom Wilson comes right through the crease, hits him, and all of a sudden, it's like a different human being the next month. So they absolutely need him to be good. He's looked good early in camp. He spent all summer here. So that's that. I think that he, it shows that he's. I mean, there were other reasons why he spent all summer here from a personal standpoint with his family, but I think that that's a good thing. He was at the gym every day. He was on the ice probably a lot earlier than usual. It is funny, Dubnyk, who I think everybody knows, I love the guy. I love shooting the breeze with him. But it's weird with so many players in training camp and us doing it at TRIA. Essentially, it's they bring up the players for interviews every day. We've been in the locker room once since camp started.
Really?
So I really have not had, other than, pleasantries as he's walking by in his gear. I've not had one conversation with him yet in training camp. So it's bizarre to me because he's the guy that in the locker room, usually
he wants to talk to you.
Yeah, like usually I'll walk in the locker room and it just like sort of it's kind of like when I used to like all of a sudden wind up at Bugard's stall. It's like it's just you sort of like just naturally next thing you just kind of walk over to Dubnyk because he's just the guy that you can lean against the wall and shoot the breeze with for 10 minutes. So it's just kind of weird. So I don't have a lot of intel on how Dubnyk's doing right now.
From Jared Midley and also Satch, basically, what's up with the Wild offer sheet to Mitch Marner?
It's not true.
Yep.
That's what's up with it. Yep. It's just unbelievable. That's my problem with Twitter is a former player just decides to tweet something and it just becomes gospel. Like every team in the league, I'm sure. Paul Fenton did have a conversation with Ferris, Marner's agent. There was never an offer sheet presented. It was just kind of like everything. Like I'm sure Bill Guerin's done with Liney and Connor's people and whoever. You call up the agent, what are you looking for? That's a far cry from actually putting together the structure of an offer sheet. The Wild never, ever got to a point where they structured a deal that was going to be able to get that done. That's just an absolute fact. And the other thing is that you sign Marner and you're giving up 4 first-round picks. I just think that's probably Look, I think Marner's exactly the type of player that they need. And to me, if they did present him an offer sheet and somehow Toronto didn't match and the Wild had to give up 4 first-round picks, from my personal standpoint, for a young stud like that, I'd be like, well, that's the price of doing business. I don't think that's a bad thing. But it is contrary to what Paul Fenton said that he wanted to do with this team, which is kind of build through the draft. But the reality is the Wild have never, ever, 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 ever drafted a player like Mitch Marner. So I don't know if giving up 4 first-round picks is that big a risk that a lot of people seem to think it is. But regardless, it never happened. Structure-wise, cap-wise, it just would have been extremely difficult for this team to be able to do that. All you need is a calculator to figure that out. So.
Let's get a final thought from Michael. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
By the way,
I
one thing that we didn't do in the old days that still bothers me to the day that just comes up in this Twitter world is refute others. You know, a lot of times if like you were covering a team and somebody else put out wrong information, you just, you know, it's like you just didn't comment on it. Yep. Like, you know, if it's true, I'll write it and confirm it and report on it. But if it's not true, I'm not going to refute it. And that's what makes it difficult because, you know, like I like Matthew Barnaby. I'm not doubting at all what he's been told. But I think there was a little hyperbole on the agent's part, or however this got out. That the Wild and Columbus were maybe the two that did it. I can just tell you that it just didn't happen. I do know that Paul Fenton had a conversation with him to just say, what are you looking for? This is maybe where we could go. But that is a far cry from actually sitting down and trying to figure out a structure that could actually, one, win an offer sheet battle, two, get Marner presented to Marner. So it's just inaccurate. And the only reason why I'm sensitive to it is because it just wastes my time during the day. And I was like, you just wake up, you look at Twitter, and you're like, gotta sit there and now call sources to find out, like, hey, I broke every single story with the Wild all summer, but did I somehow miss the biggest story of them all? The Wild actually presented an offer sheet to an absolute superstar. And trust me, the sources inside the organization that would have to know laughed at it. So.
Let's get a final thought from Michael. Thanks to Tin Shed, thanks to Twill, thanks to Fixology Repair, thanks to Tony Hoagland and Bite Squad. Final thought, Michael.
That was kind of my final thought. I'm still thinking about it. So,
do you have a final follow-up thought on your final thought?
No.
Is there anything I can say to make you feel uncomfortable right now?
No. I'll just say this. The rest of camp, it's wrapping up quickly. It's crazy. You know, camp used to. I was telling. I can't remember which player was telling about this in the locker room when we were in there yesterday. But camp used to be long. You know, it was like 24, 25 days. You know, I remember as a beat writer, the first week you'd write about prospects because you sort of needed to waste stories, essentially, before you delved into the team. And now you can't do that anymore. And it's crazy because of all these lockouts and new CBAs and things, the one win, if you want to call it a win for players, is that they have trimmed training camp down to a short, precious days. And it's crazy how quickly camp's going to end here. So the one thing that needs to happen here is they have to take advantage of if they put together their 28-man teams and play mostly NHL lineups in Denver and Dallas and in the home game against Colorado on Saturday, and they are losing like they're losing tonight, that's the time to actually start to get worried. I mean, they've got to figure out a way to get serious here and start playing well. And so far we've seen some good signs in these scrimmages. But the one sign that hasn't changed is they still can't score. There's still these scrimmages are 1-0 every night. Last night, grade A chances, outchance an inferior lineup 3-1, and just cannot bury the puck. And that's not a fluke. I mean, this team was shut out 11 times last year, so that's the one thing here for the rest of camp that I'd want to see from the Wild is getting serious and tuning up for the season and not going through the motions. And so we'll see if that can happen.
Thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. Thanks to my wife for coming out and putting up with this nonsense. And thank you all for showing up. We do appreciate it. Please give Michael a hand, and we'll hope to see you October 1st.
City built on a hillside, music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice, and I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Now is the chance to use reliable energy to grow your money with the Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. Our new investment product offers competitive returns, no maintenance fees, and flexible online access to your money. Make the reliable investment in reliable energy. The Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. To find out more, go online to reliabilityinvestment.com. That's reliabilityinvestment.com.
Holiday tips and fun facts from Paul, Kristen, and Dexter at Total Wine & More.
There's something celebratory about Bubbles. Our ridiculous selection of champagne and sparkling wines will make the holidays pop.
Who couldn't use a friendly wine elf? I can help you find the perfect bottle at just the right price.
Deep frying a turkey this year? A rich and earthy Chateau Neuf de Pop would make an interesting pairing.
Whether you're entertaining or just bringing the wine, we'd love to share our always low prices and ridiculous selection with you this holiday. Now offering same-day delivery at TotalWine.com. Cheers!